What's up, you guys? James Strickland here, heading to a heavy bench day. Thanks for tuning in, and welcome to all my new subscribers on my road to 700 pounds. Got a heavy bench day today at 5:45, 3 sets of 3 paused. Gonna make a quick stop here. I gotta pick up some topical ointment from Tractor Supply. It's veterinarian cream. Show you guys here in a minute. But I coming off of a injury deload last week as a precaution. Nothing too crazy. I don't want anybody to get too worried about it, but I like to always be more safe than sorry. I pulled something in my left delt, upper lat area the Friday before last, and on deadlifts, and I wanted to make sure that that wasn't going to affect anything crazy going forward. It did. Keep me from doing deadlifts last week, which isn't a big deal, and it also is kind of affected my pulling movements. But 455 3x3 last week on bench was very, very easy, no pain at all. So this week we're going to ramp it up a little bit. We're not going too crazy yet, so 545 should be a nice medium test to see how everything is going. Looking forward to getting back up to the triples at 585 and 600 for triples, and going up from there. Trying to figure out which meet we want to do here the next couple months. I'm thinking February, mid-February or so. Have not gotten an invite to the animal cage yet, but last year was quite fun. Hope that they enjoyed it and they invite me back for this next year. So we'll see if that goes off. And if that's the plan, we'll do a meet probably sometime in February if everything lines up correctly. All right, so a lot of you guys have asked me during this time of kind of injury deload what my injury prevention, injury protocol is. Basically, I want to identify where it hurts. If it's serious, obviously I need to go see a doctor. In this case, it was not, and I would always advocate going and having it checked out. If you have some issues that are nagging you and just don't go away with any kind of rest or ice or recovery, you may have something more serious. Go see a doctor. There's nothing wrong with that. It can cost you a little bit of money, but it's definitely going to save you money in the long run. It's going to save your lifting career. You're not going to have issues going forward if you get them taken care of now. But my typical protocol is to ice right away. I ice for 2 to 3 days, 2 to 3 times a day, maybe more depending on the pain level. Obviously ice will bring down the inflammation. It'll help you with the pain, help you deal with it. There's nothing wrong with dealing with pain, and we all have it. It's a natural reflex of the body. It tells you when to stop. You want to push through it, that's up to you. Proceed with caution. My thing is, if I have pain, it's telling me that I'm doing something wrong. If I have soreness, it just tells me I'm doing something right. So if you kind of think about it like that, it's a different way of thinking. Instead of pushing through, to max all the time, it's more or less thinking of your body's kind of like a car engine. Your RPMs, if they sit at at red line all the time, you're going to break down. You're never gonna do what you want to do. You keep that sweet spot, in the 5,000 to 6,000, 7,000 RPM. You're never redlining, or not when you don't have to, and you feel a lot better. Your progress is a lot better, and recovery is key to keeping your body in check. So when you have a little pain, a little tweak here and there, ice has always been my friend. So I'm a big advocate for ice. Obviously, after a few days, ice kind of doesn't do much. That's when I start normally laying on heat, or taking a hot shower, taking a hot bath, Epsom salt bath, just whatever it takes to kind of get the muscles back to kind of functioning again, get the blood flow. And then when you kind of stretch and you're able to do maybe some bands or band work or light work in the weight room, you kind of know that everything is good to go. Don't ever go and do something super heavy. That's going to typically hurt it again. So ease back into things. That's basically what I did last week. Because it wasn't too serious, you didn't see me back off too much. But because everything felt good last week, I'm willing to step it up a little bit this week. So all right, I'm at Tractor Supply here. All right, I'm back. So I rub this stuff right here on every time I go into the gym. It's absorbine, and it's basically for horses, but it gets into the muscles quite a bit. It's a little bit stronger than the I guess the human version of it. There's nothing, you know, not going to have anything bad come of it. You could buy the absorbine gels, and you can buy like all the little basically the whatever this ingredient is, menthol. I can't think of the freaking ingredient. Menthol. You can buy stuff with menthol in it. You know, Bengay, Max gels. There's BioFreeze, things like that. And I actually have a little bit of those all in my bag. I'm actually, one of my favorites is Sore No More. And the only place I think you can get it, or at least the only place I've ever gotten it, is from Skull Smash Ammonia. And they're one of my sponsors. Send me all the good stuff. So I like that for after workout. During workout, it's a little bit, it brings a little bit more heat, and it kind of distracts me a little bit. The liniment oil here is actually a little bit smoother. I can rub it on. It's actually washes off pretty well. That way I'm not worried about it getting on my hands, things like that. But try it out if you have, you know, sore, stiff muscles, you know, and obviously if you get older, you know, some of you older guys out there, you got to rub that on every day just to keep moving. Hey, it works. I like it because it kind of keeps me warm during the workout. Another reason I wear elbow sleeves, just to make sure that there's no weak links, and it's just me and the weight, and I can push it up. So I'm gonna head over here to the gym today. I'm heading out to Fitness Connection, where I'm at here in Katy. You guys are more than welcome to ever come out and join me. Hit me up, you know, with questions and things like that. I'm open for that. Obviously, during my training, I'm gonna put my headphones on and get down to business. But today I've got pretty light day for the most part. You know, 5:45. Like I said, 3x3. I'm gonna do some real light lat pull downs, and we'll see how this goes.
All right, so like I said earlier, we got the working sets today, 5:45, 3x3. I like to do my singles, working up from whatever weight I need to work to. This is 495, so it's my last warm-up before 5:45, 3 sets of 3. Notice how I always get tight, no matter what the weight is, no matter if it's warm-up or not. Always get my shoulders set, and a little bit nervous going into this because this is, you know, obviously post injury, if you will. Wasn't sure how this was going to move, so wanted to stay really tight on this, and didn't know how it was going to move, so I brought it down, paused, and actually it flew up so fast. You could see I got a little loose air at the top. I just did not expect that to move that fast. So here's the first set of 5:45. Still a little bit slow, got a little bit out of the groove there, and second rep, obviously a heck of a lot faster. Confidence is now good to go, especially going into the second and third set. This whole this whole week, obviously making sure everything is tight, making sure that nothing is out of place with the back. Not going to be doing deadlifts this week, just as a precaution. There's no real reason to. Bench does obviously seem unaffected. So second set here, and 5:45 moving pretty quick there. I'm happy with that speed. Staying real tight, not losing the groove or anything like that. Second set, I don't think could have been much better than that, so I'm pretty happy with that. And going into the third set, I actually rested a little bit longer than I should have, so I actually got a little cold. I had to warm up the shoulders a little bit with some bands, just a couple push-ups to kind of warm everything back up. I don't want to go into a last set, obviously, being fatigued and being cold. So this one didn't move quite as fast as the second, and didn't move like I wanted it to, but still grind it out and get the work done. You'll notice here it doesn't quite move as fast, a little bit slower there. But finish out a 3x3 there with 5:45, which is not quite a PR, but pretty close to it. My best on 3x3 so far is 5:55. Here we got decline with 4:55, moving pretty fast. Definitely feel this weight is going to be in the 500s pretty quick. We've moved up, been in 500s before. Second set here, just did two sets. I always like to get a little lift off when it gets a little heavy on these because it's a little awkward to pull it out. But that's it for the pressing movements. We've got some fly sets here. I believe we had 4 sets of 12, and working on really getting a nice squeeze here in the middle. This last week was giving me a little pressure on that delt area. No problems here at all this week. Normally after all the pressing movements and as heavy as we were going, I believe this is 90 or 100 pounds each hand. This can be pretty fatiguing, and this set here actually works a lot of the speed off the chest. A lot of you guys ask me how I'm so explosive off the chest and why pauses don't seem to phase me at all. It's because of the chest work here. Obviously, flies work on your chest. Weighted dips are great, not only for triceps, which I think they get a lot of the fame for, but you can work pretty much your whole range of motion in your bench press for weighted dips. We've taken those out just for the time being. We actually work pretty heavy with those closer to meets. So this is kind of a time where we can work on some other stuff like tricep rope and pushdowns, things like that, just to kind of get a different angle on those triceps, not get burned out of the same old exercises over and over again, kind of shock the muscle a little bit, which is definitely key. If you had a lot of opportunities to change up your training a little bit, hit the muscle groups at a little bit different angle, it definitely helps, obviously to keep from getting bored, but to also kind of hit those muscles in a different way and not let your body get used to the same old mundane training, regardless of if you're going up in weight or not. Sometimes it's how you train the muscle, not how heavy you train it. So like I said, these are the tricep pushdowns we're talking about with the rope. These I did with 90 last week, the same weight this week, but they're definitely moving a lot faster. The stabilizers in my upper back that kind of keep me stable on these were hurting, so I didn't do too many sets of these last week, but obviously back seems to be fine, and actually we'll be moving on to lat pull-downs here in a minute. And what was actually prescribed for lat pull-downs was a close grip for like 60 pounds, and because basically 40 pounds hurt last week, and I think it's just because of those the tendon or the ligament that was kind of strained out is obviously doing a lot better this week. Didn't want to push it too much. Normally I do lat pull-downs with in the range of the mid 200s. Worked up pretty slow and methodically on these, but ended up doing up to 160, which is almost to my normal weight. You can see that I'm not really going all the way up. I didn't want to get too much of a stretch and push my luck here. I figured by next week we can get the full range of motion, no big deal, but definitely got the squeeze at the bottom. Felt the lats, getting a lot of good work in here. This is actually one of my weaker movements, even though I can do quite a bit of weight. I feel fatigued quicker doing this than I do any of the other upper body exercise movements, other than maybe like a tricep or like a superset shoulder movement. So this kind of rounds out the chest day for week number 12, and definitely feel everything coming back together, and going to be on the road to 700 here really soon again, and looking forward to getting back up in the upper 5s for some reps next week. Thank you guys for tuning in. Please like and subscribe and follow me on Instagram @SwimHack.